First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. This isn't my favorite thing to do. I'm more nervous tonight than I was for the state game and also the regional championship put together. So this is not my favorite thing to do. I can talk to these guys all day long and there can be 1,000 of them. When you adults get in the room, it changes things. I've been doing this for a minute now. I used a minute because I thought it might relate to you guys more. And this is possibly, I'm not saying it is, but possibly my favorite season I've ever coached. And I mean that. And I told you guys that in the huddle as I'm fighting back tears, which was ridiculous. I don't know why. But I had an awful lot of fun this year. From the top 8th grader all the way down to the 6th grade class, this was an absolute fun group to coach. I know that because Coach Malone would show up to practice and I'd find him sitting on the bench behind home plate with his arm out and then a kid sitting next to him talking about hunting or farming or something. And he wasn't worried. He was having fun with this group because this group was that much fun to be around. Not just for the wins, but this group was absolutely a joy to be around most of the time, I say. Put most of the time there because we did have some stretches. When I first met Coach Hughie at open field in the summer, I told him that this team was going to make a state run. I just felt it in my gut. Too many big pieces of the puzzle to not help this group win. Returning 8th graders like Graw and Maxie and Gibby and LT and Barnes and Vincent, we were going to find some wins. It didn't hurt that Peyton and Avery showed up too and made us 8th graders strong. And they did a great job on the mound for us too, by the way. Let's see, it made us pretty solid. I knew we had something special at that point. Anytime you have 8th graders that can play, you're going to be pretty darn good at junior high level. Let's see here. Once I knew we had 8th graders to go along with this pretty solid, let's call them underclassmen returners. We had some kids who played last year and they're returning as underclassmen, right? I knew we had something special. I'm glad that I could have been a part of this team. It was a great year, one I will never forget. 20-6. I wish I'd taken a poll for what our record would have been before we started. Because I don't know too many people that thought we were 20-6. But we were 20-6. And better yet, I can go back. Westland, Olney. I think we beat Marion. We're better than Marion. There's some wins we could have got in there and it could have been even better. But it was what it was. 8th grade time. Oh no, there's softball. You guys got it? Man, she beat me. I've got a little bit more to go. Promise I'll get you out of here soon. Max Vincent. We're going to start with Max. This player is first and foremost a team first guy. I asked him to do a lot of things he may not have been comfortable doing, and he jumped right in and absolutely took the bull by the horns every time. Absolutely. Never complained or had a poor attitude because I gave him plenty of reasons to. I'm going to keep reading here. When we moved him to the outfield late in the season, he never even questioned the decision to move to the outfield. He just went out and worked hard in the outfield to prepare himself for the change. I can remember the practice right after we did it, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Coach, you want me in the outfield, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do that. Get some fly balls out there." Always working hard out there in the outfield, trying to get better at it. This guy was the king of finding holes offensively. He had 1 double, 15 base hits, okay, 327 batting average. He found a lot of holes. Not only that, but he walked like crazy. His on-base percentage, 460, which is higher than I think probably everybody's thinking. 460, 327 batting average. What a great season, man. I mentioned the 1 double. I can't remember where that was. Is that? Oh, yeah, Greenville? Nice, good deal. 14 RBIs, 18 runs scored. And I'm not going to lie, there was a lot of things I saw in the season before. I didn't see 11 stolen bases for Max. He was burning out there, man. He stole his first base of the season, and I thought, this guy's a base stealer. My only regret with Max, and kind of come in the same situation with with this about Jax earlier is that we didn't get him enough time on the mound because as the season went on, we started throwing him a little bit here and there, and he did a really nice job, and I wish we had thrown him more. Now, in fairness to Coach, I'm going to go and say this. The first half of our season was log jammed with games. And when we got towards the end, it really started to spread out. And we started throwing Peyton, Evan, and Avery. And we'd throw those three consistently because they were so spread out they could throw. The beginning of the year, we had to throw a lot of different guys. So, in fairness to me, I'll throw it out. So. All right, can't wait to see what kind of player this kid turns out to be because your stock is rising, man. It really is. Max Vincent. Jared Gibson time. Are y'all ready for this? We did. Jared's a pen. He is a word. So I should have probably told you. The next player is another one of those guys that is a whatever you say, Coach. And I literally mean that. Hey, go play right field. All right, cool, let's do it. He is laid back. Will do whatever you ask him to do. Played third for us almost all season. And then the coach had to go and try something new. And what we found out was that he's pretty darn good in the outfield. And then it dawned on me, that's what he played all last year as a 7th grader. I'm like, silly, what are you doing? I should have probably talked to Coach Moore a little bit more about it. He had his ups and downs throughout the season at the plate, but he was capable of carrying us and did a couple games. Big 3 for 4 games, couple doubles, big time RBIs. Had a really nice year. I also noticed something about this young man. When he's smiling and having fun, he is the best player on the field. As soon as he gets down on himself, it's like a steamroller train. You can't get out of the way. When you're smiling, man, anything's possible. Okay? 404 on base percentage, 21 total hits, 4 doubles, 12 steals. He led the team with 2 out RBIs with 11. It's not easy to hit with 2 outs. Everything's on your shoulders. He's coming through more than anyone else. I hope, and I mean hope, we've had this conversation, I hope to see him play some more baseball in his future. And Jerry Gibson. This next young man was our shortstop. A player that could have thrown quite a bit more for us, but his value at short, I'm telling you, was just too great. He played short so well that I felt like he needed to be at short for us. We had some other guys play there and whatnot, but Landon was our shortstop. On the season, he had 89 total chances. What that means is putouts, assists, all combined, 89. The only kid that had more putouts than him, or more total chances than him, was Keaton Grawl. But the catcher touches the ball every time it's pitched. So Keaton should have more, right? But Landon was second with 89. Out of the 89 chances he got, he only had 8 errors, which is pretty phenomenal. That's a pretty darn good percentage, and I'll take it. Especially at this level because we're all still learning. Early in the season, found himself at the bottom half of the order, and he didn't like it. I remember going out one time and said, hey, you're hitting the 9 hole today. He didn't say, no, Coach, I'm not. He said, you can tell it, though. He wanted to tell me about it. He didn't like hitting there. However, I hired a 9 hole guy that does a pretty darn good job. Good teams have a really strong 9 hole guy. But it didn't take very long for that to change. And about halfway through the year, he became our leadoff hitter. He worked really hard to get on track and finish the year out as our leadoff guy. Hit 350 on the year, 416 on base percentage, 19 RBIs, 25 runs scored, 14 stolen bases. Now check that, I said you led the team. It says here that he had 14. I don't know if that's a typo, but 14 2-out RBIs. I'll check the numbers later, okay? That's a lot too. With only 17.2, which means 17 and 2/3 innings pitched, his ERA was 1.98, which means he could have pitched quite a bit more for us because he's good. Some of you might be thinking right now, wait, didn't Landon throw the all in the game? We lost 9-1. All right, so yeah, there was a lot of errors in that game, and I'm not even sure there was an earned error in the entire game. Okay, what an outstanding job he did for us on the mound. 18 total strikeouts and 17 2/3. It's pretty good. It's more than a strikeout an inning. Can't wait to see what you do next year, bro. All right, Landon Maxey. Getting there. If you want to leave and just walk out, you can. I'm going to get long. But when you're talking about kids, I can't stop myself. I can't stop myself, especially when a group like this comes along. Avery Golan, what can I say about this next guy? Huge for us. Okay, huge. This guy played second, short, third, left, pitched, and then at the end of the year, I'm shoving him over to first base so our defense lines out. Just did everything I asked him to do. He hit absolutely everywhere in the lineup and never once complained about anything that we asked of him. He was the biggest for us, however, I think I can honestly say this, on the mound. All year, he was a guy that we would turn to in some of the biggest spots in the game. When you're starting Evan, every time he goes out, he doesn't get a chance to relieve. When you're starting Peyton, a lot of times it was Avery, and I'm looking over here on which one's, I don't know which one he was. You guys are going to have to wear like a shirt, you're going to tell me beforehand. At some point we're going to get this. But Avery was the guy we gave the ball to, especially early in the year because we weren't really starting him. Okay? Trying to piece pitch counts together and things like that. But man, he was huge. He was a complete strike thrower and competitor. At a time in the season, he was one of our hottest hitters and statistically one of the best hitters. Although cooled off a bit towards the end of the season, he still ended up with a .402 on base average, 23 RBIs, 23 runs scored, 18 stolen bases. And I mean this when I say this, the sky is the limit for you and how hard you want to work in this game. It truly is. Because he hadn't thrown a whole lot before this year. A little bit here and there, but he was a dude this year for us. Avery Golan. Let's see, where should we go after Avery Golan? Let's just go to Peyton Golan. Okay, this time I'll know which one you are, because I already made that mistake. All right, this next guy was around the top in all offensive and defensive categories for us, which is very huge. If you look at the top RBI guys, the top run scored guys, Peyton is right there. He's right there along the tops in all the categories. If it wasn't for Barnes, he probably would have been one of the top guys all the way around. We'll get to him later. He played 4 different positions for us this year, was stellar at all 4. He did his best work on the mound this year where he posted a .353 ERA, had 34 strikeouts and a 3-1 record, and recording 3 saves as well. I'm crazy with stats when I start looking for this stuff, but 77% of the time, Peyton Golan produced weak contact, which means a weak ground ball or a high fly ball, something that's weak and easy to defend. On our game changer app, it gives me all that stuff. 77% of the time, he produced weak contact. Man, defense can be pretty good with weak contact all the time. That's pretty outstanding. Offensively, he hit .457 with a .500 on base percentage. Another one of those 500 guys. 24 RBIs, 34 runs scored, 5 doubles, 1 triple, and you know it, 1 home run. It doesn't matter where it's at. Yeah? Well, I just said that. Didn't I say it? Oh no, I'll talk about his stolen bases later. He hit .476 with runners in scoring position. He stole 23 bases. This is a guy who showed this year that he has a ton of tools both on the mound and at the plate. And I am really excited to see him along with all the other guys in a Wildcat uniform next year. Peyton Goling. All right, 3 guys left. Not turning the lights out on me yet, are you? I'm trying, babe. I thought you were going home. Keith Grawl. In my notes, I can say 3 guys left, so that everybody knows. Spent most of his time behind the plate, even though I'm not sure that's exactly where he wants to be on the field. By the way, I believe you can play anywhere on the field, that you were needed behind the plate. His ability to throw out base runners and shut down the running game was possibly the most hang on, I messed up here. Game was, now she's sitting down here, she didn't give it all to me now. Possibly one of the most important things to us was the ability of you shutting down the running game. In junior high ball, steals all the time, pass balls, all this stuff. You shut that stuff down. 12 out of 29 would-be Steelers found themselves out at second base or out picked off. That's 12 outs because of your arm. Big time. He did more than catch, he also hit a lot. He got off to a tremendous start of the season. He finished with a .357 batting average, .455 on base, 24 RBIs, and a staggering 45 runs scored. 10 doubles, 1 home run, 21 stolen bases. Only caught 1 time all season long with the 21 stolen bases, by the way. And I bet you it's probably because you were too aggressive and got picked off or something. That's my guess, right? Probably wasn't really throwing out stealing a base. That's pretty amazing. Let's see where I left off here. 10 2-out RBIs. I want to finish bragging about this kid by giving you some pitching stats. What? Coach, don't do it. Right? Is that what you're thinking? Take a deep breath. It's all good stuff. In 8.2 innings pitched, he compiled 21 strikeouts. 8.2 innings pitched, 21 Ks. What? However, there were 17 walks in there, right? Opponents, here's the next stat, okay? And there's a reason I say all this. Opponents hit just 125 against him. When they put him in play, they didn't get hits. 125. I'll take that all day. Out of the total 26 outs that he recorded, 21 of them would be a strikeout. I say this because as a high school coach, I see a guy who has great stuff and look forward to working more with you in developing on the mound. Huge upside on that side of it, man. We get together, look out. Can't wait to see his progression throughout his career. Keep growing. All right, Evan, you're next.
Oh, of course I am.
I got here right at the top, I said the big lefty, right? Big lefty. Huge guy for us. He was also the guy who tried to throw against, or I tried to throw against all the toughest opponents on the schedule. If you look at who he threw against in the league, he always got Effingham and Flora. And whoever it was, he got those guys. You throw against T-Town too? Start against T-Town? Okay, that's pretty impressive, because he was the guy we threw at all the time. Okay? The biggest opponents we had, I feel like I owe you an apology for that or something. Like, why couldn't you throw me a cupcake, coach? I don't know. I wanted to win the big game, right? Let's talk about his pitching first. 40.2 innings pitched, which led us as a team. He was 6-1, which ties for the lead in the record. Avery was also 6-1. 2.58 ERA, which is the best of, of the pitchers who had 20 or more innings pitched. 61 Ks, which is 23 more than anyone else on the team. He had 23 strikeouts more than everyone else on the team. Unbelievable. Great season. Induced weak contact, I mentioned Peyton was 77. Evan was 67, which is also really darn good. Batting average against, 163. The opponents hit 163. A lot of these stats I say because I hope the kids are going, man, if I throw more strikes, because we throw more strikes, we'd be really good, right? Okay? When opponents put the ball in play against him, it wasn't much better. Meaning when they put it in play, they still only hit 262. It's pretty darn good. That's huge. All right, that's enough talk about the mound. Now let's get to some offensive stats. This guy hit. That's what he did all year long. 471. On base percentage was 602. That's pretty great. 60% of the time you're on base. I'll take those odds. Walked 22 times, which is 8 more than anyone else on the team. The next highest guy was, which is 8 more higher than the next highest guy. 26 runs scored, 29 RBIs, 8 doubles, 3 triples, 2 home runs. He had 475 with runners in scoring position when he put the ball in play. Are you ready for this? His batting average when he put it in play was 633. So when you put it in play, things happen. And we talked a lot about that all year. Great season. However, I expect this. I expected Barnes to have this kind of year and can't wait to see what this guy's future holds at the high school level. Evan Barnes. All right. You know what they say about being last? Save the best for last, baby. That's right. LT. This next guy was an absolute teammate. And I've said that about a few guys, and I mean that about all of them. At the beginning of the year, he was given lots of opportunity to play. He had a 350 on base percentage, compiled 7 RBIs this year, 6 runs scored. He hit almost 300 with runners in scoring position. He also got to pitch a little in the season, compiling 7 1/3 innings pitched, going 1-0 with a 2.86 ERA. However, his playing time started to fade a bit this season, but all that stats in the world don't pale in comparison to the impact not only he had on this team, but me. I'm going to tell a story. In college, you might even know who I'm talking about. I had a teammate in college. Never played, never got off the bench. He was a nice guy, and he'd go to practice and everything. He just didn't play that much. But he was the guy. When you'd come off the field, the first guy, high-fiving him. It didn't matter to him that he wasn't playing. It probably did, actually. Probably ticked him off. I should be playing more. But what he didn't let it do was affect how he treated other people. Goes a long, long ways. I consider Darius, remember Darius? I consider Darius the best teammate I ever played with. And I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and let go of that, and I'm going to make LT the best teammate I've ever coached. For what you did, man. I know you weren't happy. You're probably like, "Dad, I'm coach. Put me in there. I should play more." But you never let it affect these guys. And I preach that to my high school kids all the time. If you're going to be mad about the lineup, be mad at the guy who's writing it. Don't be mad at these guys. They're your teammates. You love on them. And you did that this year. And I never had to tell you that. It's because you're that kind of dude. Now let's see where I left off because I got rambling. He didn't pout about things. After watching this young man, like I said, he goes to the top of that list of best teammates I've ever seen, or I've ever been around. I know it's still undecided what you're going to do. You'll play in high school, some of you guys. But I really hope that you could continue your baseball career in high school. Just because I love being around you, man. Be real honest about it, right? That's LT. Oh yeah, he got hit in the eye too. Busted eye. Barnes hit a smash in practice and whammo! Like as soon as it happened, he and I both were like, "Oh, here we go. This is gonna hurt bad." All right, let's get to the awards. Okay, so in thinking about awards, I don't like awards that are subjective, meaning I have to pick who gets an award. I like clear cut. This kid had the best stats. This kid had the best stats. This is the worst. But there are some of these that are subjective. I'm going to start with the Bobcat Award. I don't think it's any question about who did it. The Bobcat Award exemplifies a teammate, a guy who goes the extra mile. And I know Keaton was that guy last year. But I think you're going to be okay handing that award this year to LT. want a picture, right? Afterwards, the win award afterwards, stay close. All right, that was a subjective one, but I think was fairly easy. About broken. All right, batting average award. Any guesses? 471, Evan Barnes, come on up. You can if you want. All right. Well, you already shook hands with everybody once, so. All right, ERA award. Don't get too comfortable. I decided that this award should be someone who threw 20 plus innings because we had a lot of guys that threw. Some guys threw very little. Some guys threw a lot. And our leader in innings pitched, ERA of 2.587 bars. Outstanding year. Outstanding season for Evan Barnes. All right, the next award is the Pitcher of the Year award. Now, I know Evan won the ERA award. That's huge. That's awesome, right? But there's more to it, too, really. I mean, I feel like someone else, I'm not saying someone else deserves it over you or whatever, this is what I'm going with. Because this is what I felt like. Because Evan would throw his guts out, and he had to have somebody come in and clean it up sometimes and finish the game, right? This young man was 6-1 on the mound, 2 saves, 2.97 ERA, 38 strikeouts, only 15 walks. 70% of the time he produced weak contact. And this is coming from a guy who hadn't spent a lot of time on the mound before this season. I'm sure he pitched a little bit from here to there, but this year was like, you're a dude and we need you almost every day, it seemed like. Our pitcher of the year this year is Avery Golan. All right, stolen base award. What I say? Keaton had 21. Peyton had 23 stolen bases this year. Now to Gold Glove. We had a lot of kids play really, really nice defensively, but. And I'm a sucker for this position. I don't know why it is, but I always seem that this always is the position that I give it out to. But imagine yourself a situation where we don't have someone that can catch. I've had that before. I had it this summer, had it last spring. When you get an injury, it can mess a whole team up. Now we have the guys that maybe could have caught, but the Gold Glove this year is going to Keaton Grohl. And I hope I don't embarrass this young man, but I don't like the Most Improved Award. Because the Most Improved Award a lot of times goes to that kid that you're like, well, we got to give an award to him. But I really felt like we had a dude this year that was Most Improved. I think this guy played some varsity ball last year. Coach Moore tells me that he was 0-10. Defensively, he struggled. I know Coach was around. Sometimes it was hard to coach him. Just wasn't getting it. But oh my God, did you get it this year? Unbelievable season. In just 15 games, finishes the year in our 3-hole. 467 batting average, 547 on base, 21 hits, 2 doubles, 1 triple, 2 home runs, 15 RBIs, and 18 runs scored in just 15 games. Most Improved has to go to Mr. Kyler King. Tyler, though, you can't win that award next year. Well, I dare you to, actually. No, you had that big of a stretch, right? Okay. All right. So, last thing I want to cover real quick. I didn't give out an MVP award because there were stretches in the season, and I truly mean this, where Keaton Grohl was our MVP. Like, it wasn't even close. And there were seasons when Evan Barnes just put us on his back and carried us. Peyton had stretches. Avery had stretches. We had a ton of guys that had stretches that led us this year. So I'm not giving out an MVP award because I think it was too much of a group effort this year. There wasn't just one guy. I really don't think that. However, I am going to get to announce this, which I feel like if I was going to give an MVP award, it'd be to 4 guys. And these 4 guys are making the All-Star team in Southern Illinois. We're playing Carbondale on October 18th. Okay? Now, I'll say this, that I thought I was going to get to coach that team. Harrisburg went and 28-0 and won state championships there. I digress. The guys that are going down to Southern Illinois and selected to play in the All-Star game: Evan Barnes, Keaton Grawl, Peyton Golian, and Avery Golian.